Hi, can you hear me okay?
Hey, yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Oh, no, I can't hear you for some reason.
Let me test my audio.
Okay, I can hear you actually when I don't. Let me see if I can hear you when I'm not using my headphones. So let me see.
Okay.
All right. Can you say something to see if I can hear you?
Check 1, 2, 3.
Oh, okay. I'll just not use my headphones. We'll see how that works.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
For some reason, I gotta fix my name. My name's Allie. Good to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I'm Aria. I don't know if Shaya, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing her name right.
Shia? But
Yeah.
honestly, I just met her, so I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know that I was presenting today until this morning. So, we are here. I think it's going to be a good, conversation. I think it's going to be pretty low key. But I'm in the process of moving right now. So it's,
No worries. No worries at all. I'm glad you're here. I struggled a little bit with the IT situation for a minute, but here we are. So, think if you want, we can just, what time is it here? 12:53. So people should be checking in soon.
Great.
Let me just go back to my checklist here and make sure we're all up to par.
Sounds good. And I just put everything, and I'll put it in the chat. I just have an agenda that folks can follow along with. Just in case, oops, please ask the host to give you permission to record. Yeah. Just in case, there's technical difficulties and people can't access things. And if there, at some point I would like to have, if they want to, I wanted folks to be able to share their screens. So I don't know if that's possible. I know I can share my screen, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, it says it's disabled actually.
Okay, hold on. I have to request access to your doc too.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Let me change that. Oh, that's why. Anybody with the link can view. So it should be changed now.
All right, I'm going to make you a co-host.
Okay, great. Yeah, it does look like I can change that around.
There you go.
And we're able to access the document.
Let me try one more time. Perfect.
Great.
I have so many tabs open. It's so freeing to just close them all right now.
I know that feeling. Yeah, and I figure we would just go from here. We'll probably start at this. And I think this is, oh, the other thing I need to be able to do is I want to make sure you can, because we're gonna hear, I have like a recording. So I just want to make sure.
Sure.
Hear sound too. Okay, so you can see my screen, right?
Correct.
Okay, can you hear, let me know if you can hear this.
Sent to become food cultivators on a new planet.
Great, excellent.
Loud and clear.
Excellent. So yeah, I think we'll just leave this open when folks come in, and I don't know what to expect. I don't know who's coming, but we're gonna welcome whoever's here with open arms.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I love it. That's great. Yeah, this is my first time participating in this conference, but it seems like it has quite a buzz going on. So
yeah. Excellent. Yeah, similar. So, yeah, so this is my first time also.
Nice.
I look forward
to where
it.
Are you based out of?
I am now, well, I'm usually almost always in Philadelphia, but I've been commuting the last couple of weeks. I teach in Philly and I'm based in Philly, but I had moved back to Maryland, which is where I grew up during the pandemic. And so I just moved back and I just got my place today. But yeah, how about you? Where are you based?
I am based in Rhode Island. So I'm in a really, really tiny town in like a little area they call the East Bay. Yeah. So it's just a cute little seaside town.
That's awesome. That's great.
It is. It's a very nice community, I have to say. Like, I've lived, pretty much in Rhode Island for all my adult life now, but everywhere
Yeah.
in the state. And this definitely has its own charm for sure. As soon as I came here for the first time, I was like, this is where I'm supposed to be.
Oh, fantastic. I've never been to Rhode Island. I would love to go at some point.
Oh, well, too bad the conference couldn't have happened this year here,
Right.
but hopefully next year. I think that's the game plan. So
Yeah.
be sure to mark your calendar, please.
Yes, definitely. I think, yeah, like, similar to you, this is my first, foray into this format, but I'm really vibing with it so far. So
Yeah, I love being in the coziness of my apartment right now.
yeah, yep.
It's
Same.
sometimes better than traveling through to a strange place and having like
Right.
an agenda instead of having the ability to explore and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, let's see. So just checking in on my little checklist quickly.
Yep.
I think we are up to date. So yeah. I don't see anybody in the waiting room yet. Let's see.
Yeah, we'll see who comes. And I don't know if it's still recording. I don't know. Are we supposed to be recording this?
Yeah, we're supposed to be recording. I think they're going to edit out the chit chat, so don't mind that part. But I think I'm going to admit our first person now. Is that cool with you?
Sure, sounds good.
Okay, great.
Hello, welcome. Let's see. It sounds like, or it looks like your name is Jessie. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Yeah, we're just letting folks in. We're gonna get started in a little bit. But yeah, go ahead and get comfortable. I wonder, maybe we can put some music on. Let's see if that'll happen.
Ooh, that'd be great.
Yeah, let's see. It always helps me to get in the mood for some good conversation when there's music.
Yeah, for sure. I actually just started a playlist for these exact occasions because I wanted to make sure that I had something at the ready.
Yeah, that's great.
It's been fun. I'm listening to things I've never heard before, but loving it.
Yeah. Looks like Jessie left. Whoops. Maybe she.
Oh, Jessie, no.
Listen to music. That's fine though. Let's see.
Okay, here we go.
If you don't mind waiting 1 second. So.
Oh, I already clicked it. I'm so sorry.
You're good.
Hi, Marsha.
Hi. I hope you can hear us okay. We're just getting ready. We're gonna let some folks come in first. Feel free to enjoy the music. The agenda is in front of you. Hopefully you can see it. We're gonna have some good conversations today. So happy to virtually see you.
Para transcribir, pude adivinar, tuve que sentir ojos en tus balas. Para trascender, tuve que pensar en lo que fui ayer y lo que soy ahora. Yo fui tal vez un poco ignorante, soy muy lista ayer para no volver. Ya pude verte, pude reclamarte, luego abandonarte, lo que quise ahora.
Welcome, everyone.
Y aunque fui tal vez un poco ignorante, fui muy lista ayer para no volver.
Welcome all. I'm seeing a couple folks joining us now. We'll probably get started in another minute or so, just letting others have a chance to join. I did put the link to the agenda in the chat. It's also, I'm sharing my screen, so whichever you prefer. But I'm very happy to see you. I look forward to talking with you today.
Hey, we've been here before. All the world's up in flames. That don't fix anything. Must be some other way. So much blood on the floor. Now we can't hide.
All right, I think we can get started. If others join us, wonderful. But I'm happy just to be in this space with you. Welcome everyone. My name is Ariel Luebedaki, and today I would love to talk with you about climate storytelling and using creative writing as a tool for healing and justice. I myself am a writer and an educator and a researcher. Currently, I'm doing my doctorate in critical food literacies and art literacies, and I work at Sankofa Community Farm in Philadelphia. So that's where I'm based. And yeah, we started a food justice writing group this year, and we've made some headway with some projects. And so I'm going to bring those to you to share with you what we're working on, and then hopefully engage in some good conversations and yeah, just collaborate and see what energy that we can share together. We do have quite an intimate group, so if possible, and I'm not forcing anybody, but if folks would like to just share their name and maybe where they're based, you can also just put it in the chat if you'd rather do that. But I'd love to just know who's in the room. If you're a writer, an educator, or maybe what brought you to this space. I would love to hear from folks. So I'm going to give a minute or so. Maybe we could just share it in the chat if you would like, and if anybody would want to speak up, I would love to hear that also. But let's just give another minute. For those of you joining us, I'm going to put in the chat right now the link to the agenda, which is also, I'm sharing it on my screen. And I did a little introduction, and I'm asking if anybody is willing to share who they are, where they're calling in from, and maybe what brought them to this space. Yeah, we'll just give it a minute.
Go, if that's okay.
Yes, Allison, please.
So my trusty co-host. Hi, everyone. My name is Allison, or better known as Allie Montagnon. I am joining you from Warren, Rhode Island today, which is the land of the Pokanoket. I am a part of the Rhode Island Food Policy Council, and this is my first NESOG conference.
Fantastic. Thank you, Allison. Any other folks want to share?
I'll say hello.
Hi.
My name's Kimberly Bracken, and I'm coming in from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I work with Homewood Children's Village, and I'm their food justice advocate. So I work on making sure everyone has enough nutritious food in the community, and run food distribution programs. And I also have about 10 families that I work with directly on a variety of issues. So yeah, this is my first conference.
Welcome. Thanks for joining.
Sure.
I can oh, sorry, was someone else talking? No, I can introduce myself. I'm sorry, I'm not turning on my video right now because I have a little cold. So my name is Jessica Kern. I work at Farm Aid in communications, and I have a background as a writer and also as a broadcast journalist. I used to work at NPR, and I did climate and agriculture reporting.
Great. Fantastic. Thank you, Jessica.
Hey y'all, my name is Ash. My pronouns are they, them, and I run the garden program at a really cool school in Dorchester in Boston. And I'm sitting outside in our rain garden right now. I have to teach a class in a little bit, so I'm going to be sort of in and out before that class setting up, but I we do a lot of climate change education, a lot of thinking about food and food systems. And I would love to collaborate more with our reading and writing department on more writing projects related to the garden and climate and the food system. So I'm really excited to be here. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you for joining us, Ash. And yes, whenever you need to leave, feel free. But yeah, hopefully we can connect, extending from this conference also. Any other folks want to share? And if you are more comfortable putting in the chat, you are more than welcome to do that also. Yeah, anyone else want to introduce themselves? All right. Okay, well, feel free at any time to join in the conversation. We'll go ahead and get started. So, and I put the agenda in the chat. So just a brief introduction. I run something called the Food Justice Writing Group at Sankofa Community Farm. And Ash, you were mentioning sort of having more integral or just more sustainable, I guess, collaborations with reading and writing. I think that you said the reading and writing department at the school you're working at. And I actually started out as a language arts teacher. And I'm currently doing my doctorate in literacy. So reading and writing is kind of my home turf. But I do have, I think my passion really is around climate change and food justice. And so I was thinking about ways to merge these spaces. And personally, I do a lot of academic writing these days, which is fun and important, but I'm much more inclined towards creative writing and what the imagination can do in helping us reorganize, reorient, reaffirm, and just sort of understand our current realities. And so I discovered that a lot of the students I was working with at the farm I was working on also had these same inclinations. Some of them are in arts magnet school, some of them want to be writers, but they want to also be part of this movement for food justice. And so I was trying to create a space for that. So we're exploring, we're exploring environmental justice through creative writing. This is our website, and it's also on the link on the interactive agenda. But we are an intergenerational group. So this is me and some of the youth writers I work with, but we also bring in teaching artists from around the city, sometimes internationally, if we can zoom them in. Often we'll have students have their younger siblings or their cousins join us. So we do want this to be a space where intergenerational learning is centered and purposeful, and we understand sort of what we're all bringing to the table. And the three core tenets of the work, of the stories that we tell. So one of the core tenets is archiving and reimagining culinary, agricultural, activism, and storytelling traditions from around the world. And in so doing, centering the experiences of marginalized communities disproportionately harmed by unjust food systems. So the farm that we work at is called Sankofa. Many of you probably have already know, but it's really rooted in Afro-Indigenous farming traditions, culinary traditions, and centering notions that are indigenous to our communities, the West Philadelphia community that we are based in, but also the communities that we serve. And thirdly, engaging various genres and modalities of writing and storytelling. So right now you're going to hear about a screenplay, an Afrofuturist speculative fiction screenplay that we're writing, but we're also writing a curricula for the farm. So doing more expository nonfiction writing. One of the youth writers is really interested in journalism. So I think it was Jessica who mentioned that she's done journalistic writing in the past. So that is definitely something that we're interested in moving forward with, but we really want to engage multiple modalities of writing and storytelling. So I think next on the agenda is talking a little bit more about the pedagogical possibilities. So as I said, I started out as a teacher. I was a language arts teacher. So I'm really interested in exploring new ways to engage learning and to move forward learning. So I wrote an op-ed in Environmental Health News as part of a fellowship that I had about this very topic, about climate storytelling and what it can do, and also what it can't do. It's not a panacea, but just what happens when you do center imagination and creativity. A lot of the work that the young people I work with have been engaged in the climate justice work has been more advocacy and activism that is more expository. So it's more explanation, really powerful, moving, and storytelling. But I found that there was sort of a need to also engage their imaginations, or at least a desire on their part. So just, I'll talk a little bit about this piece. I won't go over all of it. Please feel free to look into it. But I do start with a quote by Octavia Butler, who is a kind of a foundational pillar for Afrofuturist writing and literature. She says, "There's nothing new under the sun, but there are new suns." So this idea that there's no need to limit ourselves when it comes to imagining the future, imagining what we can do for the future. And there's a lot of research, I think I talk about a little later in the article, research on climate anxiety and the pervasiveness of climate anxiety, especially among young people when they think about the future, this sort of doomsday rhetoric. So what happens when we think more, not necessarily baseless optimism, but think about what science can do, what understanding our history, understanding our culture, what that can do for preparing us for the future. So again, coming back to that notion of Sankofa, which is an Akan proverb, which an indigenous group from Ghana, that means looking back to go forward. So what can we do looking back, sort of preparing us for the future and also really rooting us in our present. So I talk a little bit about that and sort of the impetus for this group. I came to this space as an educator originally. Actually, I was a community gardener. I came because I was trying to learn how to garden. And then I signed on to help with the USDA grant to be an evaluator for that. And part of that job was evaluating or observing learning activities that the interns were engaged in. And one of them, they actually brought a writer to come and do sort of an imaginative creative writing project. And it was a one-day thing, but I just remember hearing the stories that these students were coming up with, the writers that were coming up with, and I just thought that they were really inspiring and impressive, and I really wanted to know what it would be like to continue to work on this with them. So that seed was planted 2 years ago, and some of the students who were originally writing those stories 2 years ago are now co-facilitating the writing group with me. So that's sort of the impetus for this project. And the specific project that we're working on right now is a story about okra. So there's a lot of storytelling and mythology and just really gripping narratives around how okra came to this country and the role that okra has played in our national and culinary and agricultural history here in the US, as well as in the Americas. And so really wanting to give time and space to that. A lot of the writers talked about them, they had heard, I know many of you might have read Farming While Black by Leah Penniman, and she talks about our ancestors sowing the okra seeds into their hair before being subjected to incredible brutality over the transatlantic slave trade. But they felt really moved by that story. And so we wanted to think about, well, what would that look like to take that story and reimagine it and imagine new possibilities with it. So we are reading books like Farming While Black. We're reading Judith Carney's work, she's a geographer. She does a lot of work around Afro-Indigenous crops and their migration. Reading Jessica B. Harris and her work around her book High on the Hog. So just taking these nonfiction narratives, these real stories, and thinking about what would they look like in this world that we're creating, and what can we learn about ourselves and our communities by creating this, by inviting our imagination into this world. So with that, I'm going to let you get a little sneak peek. So we have we did a mini sort of audio play. We did a table read for our first scene of the screenplay. So I'm gonna play that for you, and it's gonna have a synopsis first, and then it's gonna have some of the youth writers, semi acting out the roles. And I'll also see if I can show you the screenplay itself too, or the script. And then hopefully that can be some inspiration for an activity that we'll all do together in a little bit. But I'll go ahead and play it, and please just put in the chat if you can't hear it. We did test it out earlier, but if you can't hear it, please let me know.
As part of a group of orphans sent to become food cultivators on a new planet. Along the journey, she finds that she can time travel in her dreams, that her destiny is tied to the powerful okra seed. With the help of her friends, Ada has to unlock the mystery of her past in order to reveal a hidden conspiracy that threatens all of their futures. This is her story.
The dream would always go something like this. I'm sitting in a chair in the living room while my feet are dangling in the air. It's raining outside, and my mom is watching the news while braiding my hair. She hums a song that I feel like I've heard before, though I can't remember where I've heard it or what it's called. Then she tells me something like,
make sure you don't let anyone touch your hair. I worked hard on it, and I don't want anyone to mess it up.
I'm distracted with the news, but I say something like,
remember to keep it moisturized, the coconut oil.
Right.
Cover it when you can, especially before going to bed.
Mama, I know all this. Why are you making it such a big deal?
This is important.
It's just here, Mama.
She moves in front of me so I can see the intensity in her gaze. She cups my face in her hands.
It's not just hair. You need to understand that.
Okay. I'm sorry.
She goes back to braiding my hair. She resumes her humming. Then I feel something strange. I inch my fingers towards where my mom was braiding before I felt a quick pop with my hand.
Turn me another bally.
Why are you bringing seeds into my hair?
You'll see soon enough. But for now, just know this is a tradition that I want to share with you.
Does the tradition involve vegetables growing on my head?
If you have soil, water, and sunlight on your head, then maybe.
What sorts of seeds are they anyway?
They have weapons, and they're quick. There's no escaping. They grab Mama and start forcing her out the room. She yells and screams and reaches for me. The intruders don't seem to notice me. I'm not sure whether to be relieved because they don't grab me or even more scared because the more I yell, the less sound comes out.
Ada always sleeps past the first alarm. It's 6:15. She looks out the window, forgetting that there is no sun to watch rise, just black. An endless sea of black, peppered with stars. She can't tell whether she is looking at nothing at all or everything at once. Regardless, the low hum of the ship reminds her that there is no turning back. She's too far away from home. She can't look back, but this dream, it won't go away. She walks to the bathroom in.
What the? This is new.
Cornrows, neat and even, just like Mama used to do them. These were not there when Ada went to sleep last night. Okra seeds. Ada is part of a group.
So, dun dun dun, that is the first scene, the first draft. And as you can see, oh, thank you, Ash. As you can see, there are some changes from the actual text. We were deciding whether we wanted Ada to be the narrator, or if we wanted someone else. Like, you can see that this is a process, and that's part of what we wanted to do in this, is not sort of just show a finished product and be like, hey, look at this thing that we've done, but really show it in stages. And so we still, we're still writing. We're still trying to figure out we don't even have a title yet. We're still trying to figure out where we do have a treatment and we have an idea of where the story is going. But we really wanted this to be, collaborative and iterative. And unfortunately, we did want to have some of our youth writers here today, but they are in school. They're doing the thing that they need to do. So they're not here today, but I will be sharing, this conversation with them. And so if you have ideas, thoughts, feedback, all of that is welcome. But So that was our first scene, and I think at this point, I've been talking a lot, and I just love to hear from folks. What are you noticing? What was interesting? What was intriguing? What was confusing? And this can be about the content, like the actual plot, or it can just be about the process. You know, the more general discussion around the pedagogical possibilities of creative climate storytelling. So yeah, with that, I'll just open the floor and ask if anyone has any contributions, any noticings or questions.
Hey, this is Malcolm. I just love the idea of time traveling while she sleeps. That's just such an awesome thing that can go in so many directions. So yeah, that's all I have to comment right now. But yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you so much. That's a great, I'm really glad you brought that up, because we talked quite a bit about, we wanted the first scene to be a specific foodway practice that we thought was important. So this idea of, you know, braiding seeds into the hair. But then at the time, they were also really into this, what is this movie? It was on Netflix. It's called Two Perfect Strangers. And it's a time loop movie, and it's about a man who wakes up and is a Black man, and he gets murdered by the police, but he wakes up to that same day over and over again, and no matter what he does, he tries to be nice, he tries to be composed, he tries to be whatever, the same outcome happens. And so we had a conversation about that, just this looping device as the storytelling device, and then also sort of what sort of social commentaries do we want to talk about with this film. And so then that's how that came into the plot. But yeah, I mean, I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but I'm excited. I like time travel too. Any other thoughts or questions? Okay.
I think it was just like so exciting to see the work that y'all are doing. I've been doing a lot of seed keeping this summer and fall with my students in the garden, and I'm about to be starting a project with the 5th grade English teacher related to seeds and their stories. And I think that she's going to be really excited to hear about this.
Yes, please keep us updated. I think just making sure everybody gets in. But yes, I would love to hear, you know, the progress of that project also, and just storytelling, centering our work around storytelling and different formats of storytelling. I think that was, again, one of the main impetus, one of the main reasons we wanted to do this was I found that some of the writers, you know, were emerging, their identities that were emerging were their identities as farmers, as chefs, as food justice advocates, but their artistic identities sort of fell by the wayside, and it wasn't necessarily a more systematic, concerted way for them to bring that into the space and recognize that they can be all of those things and they don't have to choose. So yeah, opening up opportunities for them to bring this part of their identities into, and especially I can imagine with 5th graders, their imaginations are, I taught 5th grade for one summer, and I have immense respect for anybody who's a teacher in general, but 5th graders, whew. So yeah, I'm excited to hear how that goes. Any other thoughts or questions? Okay. So with that, I thought what might be helpful. So part of why I wanted to do this with the students was because I myself, I'm a writer and I love this. I really like doing this. I like writing screenplays. And so I had to sort of put myself in their position. I'm also not a trained screenwriter. So, you know, learning what the mechanisms were for telling this sort of story, I think I have experience with theater education, and I have a lot of colleagues who are theater educators. But what I wanted to explore with this was what happens when the focus is actually the writing for performance, not necessarily the performance piece. We have some students who want to be actors, or, you know, but most of them are interested in the writing piece. So what happens when we sort of take a pause? And we also have students who are, you know, they say they don't like reading and they don't like writing, but they love movies and they love TV shows, and you know, when you let them know that someone wrote that, like someone sat down to write that, and someone read a bunch of stuff probably to write that, then it sort of takes away that stigma of boring reading and writing. And so, yeah, like being able to do that for ourselves, and being, I guess, in some ways more critical media consumers also, that's part of what I was hoping for can emerge from this process. We'll see if it does, but I do notice it is a lot easier to invite them to talk about their favorite, like what they watched last night, or what's big on Twitter, or whatever it is, because that we can funnel that and focus that into our actual writing. So I thought it might be fun, you know, and maybe useful for us to also engage in that practice for like 15 minutes or so. If you wanted to either continue this this particular write the next scene, for instance, of this screenplay, or at least do some idea generation, some brainstorming, or if you have your own work that you're interested in, or this has sparked ideas for a project you're working on, it would be great to just spend some time writing, if you're interested. And if not, you know, you can do something else for the next 10 minutes or so. But I invite you to focus on a food way or food practice that is important to you, and just jot down some notes. I do have a brainstorming document in the link. This is not to be, you know, this is just something that we used in our group. So please don't feel the need to use it at all. But if it's helpful for you, great. So yeah, I think maybe if we can take 10 minutes or so, jotting down some ideas, and we can come back, see what you know, what emerged from those seeds that we're planting. And I'll go ahead, I'll play some music. So, you know, maybe that can spark some ideas. Feel free to mute it if you don't like the music, or tell me to shut it off, whatever works. But yeah, so let's take maybe until 1:40, so about 12 minutes to write some thoughts down, and then come back and see where we are. Does that sound okay? I'm gonna take the silence as a yes. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Thumbs up. Perfect. Thank you, Kim. Perfect. So yeah, I'll see you all back at 1:40. And if we need more time, we could take more time too, but sounds good. Happy writing.
Ikana juya ijerela, irise kafra finyela, idise kawata fe watititabi abato, irise kitolo malo. Ikana fo kwikelele aluila sila lombe ombe disekola dunyaro ikana nyina. tilimina ikana makonolike butu ikana makonolike butu ala ife o ala ife o amoya ije yes ije inyela ka nye fela ebibiri ogobo kaniyo kaniye abot 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 Indanga zama kwenkwe Zopukele mlanje ni wohum Kakubeti ndonga Hiyaho Amato dayo ika Ukubeka mlanje ni wohum Kuba kubeti ndonga Hiyaho Ojikele mohe nindiyamba Jikele mohe nindiyamba Ojikele mohe nindiyamba Jikele mohe nindiyamba Aklenza makwenkwe aklenza kwabamani Aklenza makwenkwe aklenzele mgodini Aklenza makwenkwe aklenza kwabamani Aklenza makwenkwe aklenzele mgodini Ojikele mohe nindiyamba Jikele mohe nindiyamba Ojikele mohe nindiyamba Jikele mohe nindiyamba Atika madora Atika baba mauti Atika madora Atikele mkodini Atika madora Atika baba mauti Atika madora Atikele mkodini Iho oh oh hai Iho oh oh hai Hiya 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 Iho oh oh hai Atika madora Atika baba mauti Atika madora Atikele mkodini Atika madora Atika baba mauti Atika madora Atikele mkodini Indanga zama kwenkwe Sopukele mlate ni wohum Kuba kuba tindonga Hiyaho
Todo lo que yo sentí, todo lo que yo viví, de todo lo que presentía no me queda nada. El dolor que yo sufrí por todo lo que yo aprendí, de todo lo que yo te di ya no me queda Yo te soy sincero, si es que mañana muero, no le tengo miedo, pues soy mujer y llevo el dolor adentro, soy mujer
All right, so we are closing in on 1:40, but I'm happy to allot more time if we need more time. Could I just get a thumbs up if we feel, for those who feel like they're ready and they've had the time that they needed? Okay, I get a couple thumbs up. Thank you. Just checking the chat. Great. I think a majority of us feel like we're in a good place. And if you want to keep writing and you just, please feel free to do that. If you're on a roll, never want to stop that. But we'll go ahead and maybe just share out a little bit. I also wanted to note, thank you, Allison. You noted that maybe Jessica, you might have had a question like a long time ago, and I completely didn't see that.
No, sorry, that was a mistake.
Oh, okay.
And then I
Okay,
realized how to turn it off.
Okay, perfect. Great, thank you. So yeah, I love if anybody feels comfortable with sharing either what they wrote or ideas that they had. It also, I think I have enabled screen sharing for everybody. So if you want to share your actual writing, you're free to do that. But I'd love to hear from maybe one or two folks about what sort of ideas this might have sparked for them, either in their creative pursuit or maybe even in their work as an educator or researcher. Would anyone like to share? Kimberly?
Yeah. So I've worked a lot with youth, and I love the idea of collecting food stories. A lot of what youth are eating these days are processed foods. And what I find is when you start talking to them about food stories, they tend to talk more about homemade food. And so it kind of creates a value system for them, realizing that a lot of their early childhood memories or memories around holidays have to do with food that's actually cooked by people in their family. And so I love hearing those stories because I think it does emphasize to them the meaning behind eating real food. And so for my writing exercise, I was just thinking of things that I love to write about. And one of those things is harvesting. I'm a gardener and have been for a long time. And two of my favorite plants to harvest are calendula flowers and chamomile. And so I wrote a short little piece called Golden Harvest. And I just talked about why I love harvesting them and how they feel in my hands and how I love using calendula as an edible flower. And it just looks like you're eating rays of sunshine. And how chamomile smells like honey when it's in the sun, and just the pale yellow that it turns the water when you make a tea with it. So yeah, I think it inspired me in the work I do with teens now to just encourage them to write their own food stories, and those of them that are gardening to write these small little essays about plants and thinking about all the senses that they use when they work with them, what they smell like, what they taste like, what they feel like in their hands. And, those are forms of meditation. So then when you're in the garden, you're thinking more about those things and you're more present with the plants when you're working with them. So anyway, thank you. I've written a lot throughout my career and also personally, and I haven't written in a long time. So thank you for this exercise.
Thank you for sharing. I couldn't stop smiling as you were describing just and originally what you're bringing into this space, but then also, what you actually wrote. And I think you hit the nail on the head with the sensory piece, the fact that gardening, working with food is an embodied experience. And often when we're asked about our food stories, it is about relationships. It's about, oh, my grandmother, my mother, or my father, my brother, we used to do X together. And part of why, at least, one of our first projects is a screenplay is because it is meant to then be embodied by people. Like whatever we write is supposed to then come to life through people's experiences and through people's, embodied reality. So I'm really happy that you highlighted that. And yeah, often it's, I think there's a level to which being able to articulate it, we all feel it, the meditative and the just healing power of being on the land and being connected to food. But there's, I think, an added layer of depth and just weight when we could talk about it, when we could write about it, share about it, like what it is that we're feeling and seeing and tasting and hearing. So thank you for highlighting that.
Yeah.
Would anybody else like to share?
Kimberly, I just wanted to, yeah, thank you so much for this exercise. It's really beautiful. And I just wanted to share an exercise that I've done with students in creative writing classes before that was just sort of like piqued by what you were describing, which was like bringing in some fruit. And it was usually like in creative writing classes, the first thing we would do to kind of get at that like sensory attention. And it also has me thinking, so everybody would like pick a piece of fruit and just sit there for a while thinking about it and then writing out the sensory experience they had with it. And it never occurred to me in the moment, but after doing it a few times, also recognizing how important it was to like share food with students, especially in a public school setting where food is so institutionalized. And I think that that really like got that relationship off on the right foot also, to like have food sharing be a part of the class. And, you know, like the classroom itself as this container that's supposed to be so sterile, but isn't, and acknowledging that and letting that be a part of what we're doing. Yeah, so that made me think of how wonderful that experience had been in the past.
So appreciative you sharing that. I think, yeah, that pause, you know, and just taking time to also think about all the different senses we have, but then also how they're unique and distinct, and then how do they work together, like pulling them apart in order to realize how harmonious they can be, because often we talk a lot, right? But what happens when so one of the exercises we had a teaching artist come in and try and help us think about a little bit more about tone and setting the tone for our scenes. And so she like, you know, sort of incrementally removed different senses. So first it was everybody close your eyes, right? And describe what you see or describe where you are. And then everybody like try and, I guess, close your nose. You know, you can't smell and then you can't hear. Like what happens when you sort of remove the different senses and how that amplifies other senses, but recognizing that we don't all operate in like a unisensory way. Like we don't all operate just by only seeing or only hearing. So just, yeah, focusing on that, pulling it apart to bring it back together, I think is really beautiful. Any other thoughts? These are great. I might use that. Nina, thank you for sharing that that activity. Okay. Well, if there are any other thoughts, please feel free to share in the chat. I do have my email in the agenda and our social media for the Food Justice Writing Group and my own. Yeah, I mean, I really just wanted to have some time to talk to folks about creative writing and food justice. So as I said, you know, we are embarking or continuing on this screenplay, but we are branching out and doing other projects. So one of the projects we're working on now is Sankofa, our farm, we've hit our 10-year anniversary. And so now it's about looking back and thinking about all the learning that's happened, and finding a way to archive it, but not sort of make it like a static document. How do we create a living document where the stories that we've told continue to live, and then also there's room for the stories that have not yet been told. So we're thinking about what a curriculum can look like that does that. And so I'm working with the young people, the youth writers on that. Maybe we'll write a journal or a journalistic piece at some point, and we might be reaching out to you, Jessica. But yeah, so we're just sort of trying not to add too much on our plate, but just expanding sort of our horizons for whatever the young folks say they want to learn. So yeah, with that, I don't have anything left. So if there are any questions, feel free to reach out. But thank you so much for just coming to this space and bringing your whole selves and your ideas and your energy and your writing. And yeah, I wish you a beautiful rest of the conference and rest of the week. And maybe we'll be in touch in the future. Have a good afternoon. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Of course, thank you. I wonder. Well, Alyssa, are you still there? Do you have more thoughts that you wanted to share?
Someone's trying to check in right now.
Interesting. Okay. We can let them in
Hello.
and let them know. Hi there. I don't know if you can hear us. Welcome. We actually just finished the session. It was shorter than we expected. But if you're welcome to stay. We could chat a little bit. But yeah, we just wanted to let you in just so you could hear.
Thank you. Sorry to be late. I just got out of work.
No problem. Thank you for coming. And I'll give you the link. Oh, thank you, Allison. I think you've already put it in the chat. So there's a link to the agenda, and there's also all of the links to the resources we looked at and my contact information also. So feel free to reach out.
Thank you.
Of course. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.